Hello everyone, this is Rich, Mr. Thrive and Survive, and it's August 6th, 2015, quite early in the morning actually, and I want to read a letter I received back from an airline pilot who donated to the cause for the great balloon launch we're going to be doing on September 28th. If you're stumbling across this video and have not heard about this before, I will have all the links in the box below. But this is an excellent example of what I would call moral integrity, which is what I've tried to explain in my economic videos. When we crash and burn this time with a greater depression than what we had in the 1930s, it will be far different this time, if for no other reason, that the moral integrity of the people is just simply shot. There are a little bit of the previous generation left, which are dying out. And you have the generation which I would say is a transition, which is more like my generation. And then every generation after that, and I know that probably seems like every generation says that about the next generation, but if you can't see the steady decrease in how people treat one another openly and how people just don't care that they are stepping on other people's toes or interfering with someone else, as long as they get what their needs are. It's a me first type of society now, which really transcends generations, because everybody has been programmed into that type of thing. In fact, when 70% of your GDP is based upon consumption, they want you to be into the me type of thing, where all you want to do is consume, and to hell with the rest as long as you can get ahead of the crowd. In any case, I wrote back to someone who had donated and left a comment about the Great Balloon Experiment. And by the way, I'm going to have a funding update hopefully tomorrow on that August 7th, or maybe later today. And the donation pace has slowed, so I'm a little concerned there, but we are getting somewhere between, I think we're getting fairly close to about 60% of the goal. So I still have high hopes that we're going to make it before the cutoff of August 19th. And I'm also going to update you on a few other things. We had to take out the laser, and I'll explain why. And anyway, we'll get there. We'll cross these roads when we get there. But this letter to me from an airline pilot, a real one, not the 35% of the people who claim to be all of a sudden international airline pilots on the site. And I want you to read, not only to get I'm going to read this to you not only to get the integrity out of it, but to see what a real pilot has to say about flat Earth, and someone who is in their 60s first coming across something like this. So with that, what I did was I wrote him and commended him for donating. He donated quite a sum of money to this project, and I commended him for doing that. And that explains how the start of the reply back is. Now, the only changes I have made to this entire letter that he wrote back to me is I took out anything that would indicate exactly where he is, and I have taken out some of the things that he has been looking at on the internet, because I don't want people to be distracted by other issues. And I've learned the lesson well, that if you throw other things in something, people will go off on a tangent and miss the point. But please keep these things in mind, especially the moral integrity versus the kind of crap you get on a daily basis from some of the replies that just blow you away, simply because you may be challenging their deep held belief system, which shows again that science is really a religion, and people only get that touchy usually when you attack their religion, and that's exactly what's going on. So without further ado, let me just read this letter pretty much as it was sent to me. Like I said, I made those two different little changes, but otherwise it is left intact, and I do have permission from the author to read this. Again, this is from, well, you'll find out. It's from a pilot.
Hi, Rich. It is you who should be commended for your efforts to get the truth out there, and, as you note, in supporting you, I'm supporting that. I'm only a recent subscriber to your YouTube channel, having stumbled across it through the good graces of Google, recognizing my search for more information on this flat Earth thing that exploded in my brain about a month ago, when I finally decided to see what all this foolishness was about. That, of course, led to Eric Dubay. I've now read both his books. He rocks. WikiWiki, Jeranism, and you. I gotta say, that particular lightning bolt of truth just about shut me down, having reached a point in my life where I have virtually unlimited opportunity to do so, along with the will. I've learned vast amounts of new information in the past few years about government, history, metaphysics, astrology, numbers, etc. I alternatively would be pleased, troubled, pissed, amazed, surprised, disappointed, the normal reactions experienced when someone learns something new at an advanced age and begins to synthesize this knowledge. This flat earth thing, though, this planet, knocked me to the floor. It was too much. It laid a lie at the foundation of everything I thought I knew. The possibility, and then the depth of the conspiracy, and the purpose of it left me feeling stunned and without faith in anything I had previously accepted beyond my own life experience. I have a BA in anthropology from the UT Austin. I am self-educated far beyond that. I was a 15-year Navy pilot and officer with 2 carrier tours in Vietnam. I was an airline pilot for Delta for 26 years, retiring off the Lockheed 1011 TriStar in 1999. Humorous to me now, at one point I built a beautiful custom home on the side of a mountain in northern Georgia, from which view I proudly proclaimed to anyone who would listen, my vista was so broad in that magnificent view I could actually see the curvature of the earth. My point is, I believed without question my programmers, and never even thought to question them. In 33 years of active flying, both nationally and internationally, with many thousands of hours logged, whether flying on instruments or actually viewing the terrain beneath, whether over land or ocean, I always believed I could see that faint curvature, the same one I saw from my deck in Georgia. And then there's this. A pilot's primary flight instrument is his artificial horizon, which he has to be maintained level to keep from climbing and descending, and which coincidentally perfectly lined up with the horizon that met my eye in the distance. Towns, cities, mountain ranges, rivers, etc., would first appear as a fine line at eye level on the horizon, and slowly appear to bloom up from the ground as my aircraft approached, and my perspective changed, to the point that when I passed overhead that landmark was now thousands of feet below me, visually like it sank below the horizon, which of course was still at eye level for me. From the cockpit, weather permitting, I could see hundreds of miles in all directions, viewing cities connected by roads, sparkling like jewels across the flat plain, as far as the eye could see. Nothing ever leaned, etc. The Manhattan skyline, flown over from 10,000 feet, was just as vertical in appearance as at 1,000 feet coming in on approach, or taxiing on the flat but visibly crowned runway. I find it amusing that your new neighbor is an airline pilot. I now live on the south shore of, and I took that out. From my beach, I look directly across the bay, to the west. 6 miles away, the buildings are all perfectly vertical. On a clear day, I can actually see the beach at the water line below the city. The water doesn't hump up in between. Duh. So again, I salute you. Pay no attention to the shills and soulless jerks. Rest assured that your message is getting out to the people who are looking for truth.